Lots going on in the world today. The country's kind of under fire. We've had so many unprecedented events occurring over the last 2 weeks. There's been enough information flying around to fill up an entire year or more for one person to take in. When putting the events together, I realized that we needed to stop focusing on the negative and bring some positivity to it, whether that's in 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 months, that's your prerogative. We're not going to argue about that right now. But what do we have to look forward to? I reached out to one of my lending partners who happens to be the namesake of the top producing team in the state. The Rueth team with Fairway Independent Mortgage. Nicole Rueth is my lead fact checker when it comes to all things economy and real estate. Nicole, thanks so much for joining us today. Wow, what a week, huh?
Wow is the right word for this. Well, thank you for having me. It's every day is like an entire month. I can write blogs about what is happening on a daily basis. It's mind-blowing.
First of all, how are you holding up? I know that for lenders, it's not the self-quarantine, stay-at-home kind of job. You guys are at home, but you're working sundown to sun up, I think.
Yes, right now we are. I mean, rates are low. We're still doing the refinances, and people are cash out refinancing to create liquidity in a time of turbulence. So if it's not one thing, it's another. And the purchase business is still picking up. People were looking before this happened, and some people sold a home and they still have to buy or they're mid-transition. So we're still helping folks. I imagine it'll get a little bit slower here in the next couple of weeks, but right now we've been working like there's no tomorrow. We've been working full time and then some.
Absolutely, and we appreciate that. So just give me a quick update on what's happened over the last, as long as you want to go back, we can go back a week or an hour, what are you thinking there?
Like, how much time do I have?
Right.
Holy smokes. So really quickly, we'll just highlight what just happened, right? So we're, and I don't know. So here I am, the fact checker. I don't know if the House has passed the bill yet, but I imagine it's coming and will be today at some point, that the stimulus package, the Corona stimulus package is passed. And there's so much money in that stimulus package aimed at small businesses to help with payroll, at all the larger businesses, including the airlines. And then it also includes, when Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae first came out, they said, we're going to allow for a 60-day forbearance, meaning you don't have to make your mortgage payments for 60 days. FHA and VA said, we strongly recommend that servicers allow for a 60-day forbearance, but they didn't require it. So it was up to the servicer for Govy. Fannie and Freddie were doing it for 60 days. Now they're saying we're requiring it for 180 days with almost an automatic 180-day extension. So we're looking at probably a year. They're putting processes in place for being able to do that and what that looks like, and then adding additional money to unemployment. And what just happened with our jobless claims, my goodness, if they didn't spike up from just a couple of 100,000 all the way up to 3.3 million in a week. So that was a really big deal. So we know that there are people that are currently unemployed or temporary unemployment that are going to be able to, I don't want to say capitalize on that, or that need it, right? So there's a lot of change going on. So that's kind of the biggest thing. And from a lending perspective, we're just trying to hang on, because you got to know that if you don't make your mortgage payment, sounds good from the individual perspective, but it puts the entire mortgage industry at risk, because there's property taxes that need to be paid and insurance that needs to be paid and investors on the secondary market that need to be paid, but no money's coming in because mortgages aren't getting paid. So it's a very interesting time that we're living in.
Right, and that's a good point. Obviously, there's a lot of stimulus coming in, or a little bit. People are obviously going to start collecting that unemployment. It's super important that your mortgage is one of your top priorities, even though we have this forbearance. I think you don't want to be paying interest on that long term, and you never know. So I'm just trying to reach out to my clients and say, whatever we can do to pay that mortgage payment, although you have this option for those that need it, it's absolutely necessary, great. But I think it's important to tell people that there is a domino effect in the mortgage industry, and 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when you're going to refinance, it could come back to
it could. It's going to add principal. You're going to be paying interest on it again, and it doesn't put you in a better position, but it certainly helps those that need the help.
Absolutely. And obviously our hearts go out to those people. And if anybody needs anything, reach out. Mortgage person, Nicole, myself, we can kind of talk you through and direct you to your servicer and go from there. So that's great. Nicole, you and I have talked almost daily about where we go from here. How do you see real estate and its trends affecting the pending recession that we talk about? Everyone knows there's a recession coming. A lot of people compare it to 9/11, 2008,
Yep.
and I think it's completely different animal. What do you see as far as the real estate trends is affecting?
Yeah, so this is completely different. You're right. So it's this recession, the last recession, 2008, was created by the mortgage boom and then bust, right? We had too much inventory. We had overexposure from qualifying borrowers. We just had a lot of risk with the kinds of loan programs, and banks didn't have to keep liquid reserves and so many things I could start listing off. All of that got turned around with Frank Dodd. And so now we went from an extremely loose to extremely tight to somewhere in the middle. We had our porridge just right when all of a sudden, right, we have now coronavirus kicks in, forces everybody home, and takes us all by storm and surprise, regretfully. So we're in this position. It's not, is it like 9/11? 9/11 had a momentary impact. So it's not really like 9/11 either, because it's got this lingering effect that it's going to take us time to find the cure. And it's that treatment plan that I think will allow people to go back to work. So where will housing be? So the housing was really strong when we were coming in. We were at 13-year highs on housing starts, highs on housing sales. We had low supply, which I would have loved more inventory, but with the low supply and the increased demand because of increased demographics and population, we had crazy good appreciation. We only had 1 year last year, 2019, where we had a small pause in appreciation, couple points, just under 3% appreciation for the year. But we kicked it off just in February alone, January and February, 2 months, we were at 6.25% year-over-year appreciation, year-to-date appreciation. That's phenomenal. We were going to have a record year. So where we stand now is we're absolutely in a recession. It started. I will claim that fact. I believe it fully because nobody can go to work. The GDP, the definition of a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of GDP decline. We know that well. And this quarter kind of came to a standstill with March. And so if we land somewhere around 0, second quarter will be negative because we're recovering. But third and fourth quarter are expected to be positive again. That talks to the length of time we're expecting this to be absolutely turning this country upside down. It will take us a while to recover and get back to this new normal. But the housing market was so strong coming in, and because of the continued lack of supply, a lot of people aren't putting their house on the market right now. Also, builders can't build because they don't have workers or funding or supplies. So overall, the supply's down, demand's still up. Kids are still graduating. They're still moving. They're getting jobs. Babies are getting born, maybe more than even before, right? So you have this increased demand, lower supply, and every single time we're in a recession, we get lower interest rates every time. So those interest rates are going to stay low and even maybe go a little lower, which you combine those 3 things and you have appreciation, which is a beautiful merriment for the strength of the housing market.
Right. So it's not going to be, 08, 09, we saw 15, 20% decrease, in values. And I think that speaks to the point. I can definitely say that January, February, and, into March when I was closing the deals that were under contract from February was great. And coming out of it, absolutely. There's going to be opportunity for people that are less affected by this. In the time being, to have a little bit less competition. Showings are down. So if you're stable in your employment, it's still a good time to buy. Rates, regardless of what they're at day to day, as they change almost by the minute, they're still a good low rate. And if the bottom falls out of rates, which I'll let Nicole speak to that, but you can always refinance in the future. So that's one thing. One positive is that if you're looking to buy, you're good where you're at with your employment. Now is an opportunity to maybe, press yourself to, really investigate things virtually, and then, obviously I don't want to take somebody out to 25 houses and be a part of the problem. But if we can narrow your search down and really limit it, we are still allowed to show homes and, take precaution, obviously, and, stay at home as much as possible, and use our technology to our advantage of that. So I think that's a huge, huge plus there. As well as I think there's going to be different people funneling into the market and not, is the move up buyer going to stay home for a year or two while they lick their wounds? I know Nicole's favorite is the older investor who might cash out and provide us some inventory. But the truth is, people are still graduating, maybe more than we're going to graduate anyways. So as they graduate, they're still going to start their lives, they're still going to start their careers, and that's where some of the income or the influx of buyers will come from. I did hear a funny meme yesterday, though, about the baby joke that you made.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of babies born in 9 months, but they're all going to be the first child.
They are. But so the home ownership rate goes from, oh gosh, and I don't remember the original one. I think it's something like 24% is where it starts, but it jumps to like 82% with the first child and 85% with the second. You only need the first kid.
Right.
So that home ownership rate.
That's good. Because I don't know. I have two at home who are going a little bit crazy right now. So, all right. So, Nicole, you are a real estate investment educator and investor yourself. What would you advise people who maybe have second thoughts about their stock portfolio right now and possibly considering real estate as a future investment avenue? And do you foresee any opportunity arising in the near future as a result of this epidemic?
I do, and so the only thing that gives you pause, and you got to be out and open on it, because there's nothing transactional about this season, right? This season is you have to go deep with every single client, because every single person's financial strength and stability has to be examined in today's market. Job security and reserves and all that other stuff. So as I'm talking to possible investors, I'm saying, okay, if you're liquid, if you have some reserves, if your job is stable, there will be opportunities, because as you pointed out, I think that there's going to be this set of older investors that are happy with their returns that they've had, that people have been paying down their mortgage for years and they've had 8 years of appreciation. And right now we're at a point where, just like the mortgage holders having a forbearance on their mortgage payments, tenants are also not allowed to be evicted during this time. And you would hope, as a good landlord, you might take care of your tenants during a time such as this. But regardless of whether or not you would naturally, you can't evict them. So as soon as that period is over, those tenants are going to have to come to the table with some cash to get current, or you can evict them. So landlords are looking at this going, is now the right time for me to exit stage left? I don't think any deal, though, will enter the market that will be below market. Like, I don't think that there's going to be fire sales, because there's so many buyers that want those properties that they just haven't been on the market for months. So they'll be quickly scooped up at fair market value, but allow buyers to get in. Buyers who are liquid, have some reserves, can take a little bit of a gamble on the tenants and get in while the inventory comes in and then ride that out. But they have to be educated in knowing what the risks are right this second. If they wait 6 months, 9 months, totally different story on the risk load, and still maybe some of the inventory. So I think it's a great time. Myself, I'm even keeping my eye open for a commercial building. I'd love to find a place for my team. And I hate to say that some businesses won't make it, but some will, and they'll want to sell, and I'm willing to pay a fair market value for that. So that's how you have to think of as an investor. And then you got to kind of keep some cash for those opportunities, because they'll present.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing you touched on there, as far as investment properties, you may see some opportunities with leases already in place that are, cash flow leases and things like that, where landlords are just like, it's time to get out, but they have to sell the lease with the property. So that's a positive too. So you're not, as an investor myself, 2 properties, 3 now. It's a time crunch when you close on a house and then all of a sudden you have to find tenants right away, and that might be something that makes it a little bit more
well, and in this market, it might be vacant and people really aren't probably moving so much from rental to rental, but it could be something where you have a 60-day close or 45-day close, and then you skip 1 or 2 months of payments. So you can really, if you're strategic, there are ways to limit that risk.
right. Absolutely. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I know it's very valuable. Do you have any parting shots or any words of wisdom for us as we exit?
I would just say that there is no better place to have your money than real estate now or really ever. The opportunities continue to present. And really, I'm so glad I have money in stocks. I have money in my IRAs, my 401ks. But I'm sleeping well at night knowing I have 23 investments. So I'm diversified. I do have cash reserves so I can cover the mortgages. It's about your mindset, how you go in, working with a team, Jeremy, such as yourself. I mean, you're a rock star. And working with you as a realtor gives that client the feel good that goes, okay, I'm working with not only an experienced realtor, but an experienced investor who has my back and can answer questions like, how much should I have in reserves? What level of risk am I coming up against? What do you expect this market to look like? And when will we pull out of it? I know you've always got an answer that's not coming out of your back pocket, right? It's like well thought out. And so I just want to say kudos to you, the services that you provide to your clients. I'm excited to be one of your partners. So thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And just believe in the dream of home ownership. It's a real thing.
Yep. And it's, it'll get some of us out of it here. So just hang on. And if you need anything, let me know. I obviously, one of my mantras, so to speak, is unique experience. And right now that speaks louder than anything. There's some people that are really struggling, and we need to, take care of those people, lift people up as a community, and make a plan. Maybe it's not today, maybe it's, 2 years down the road, or maybe you are doing all right now. And everybody's unique experience is so different right now. And that's why I answer a lot of calls daily, and check in. So thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure I'll text you I don't know, it's been at least an hour, right? So
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.